people now, if they see these people appear, they know to turn off the TV or change the channels, or better yet, turn on the Rich Zeoli show, right? Like,
Rich Zeoli, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7, Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app. On Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
It is Dom time. Welcome in. We're going to talk with Dave McCormick, candidate running against Bob Casey Jr. at 12:30 today. And Dom's Money Melody. I never tell you about that this much in advance, but a pair of tickets, Dan, to see Queen and Adam Lambert on Wednesday, October 18th. So definitely, that's at 2:13 today. And Alan Dershowitz here at 1 o'clock. All right, the updates. And they show you where they lean. It's very revealing. Any reasonable person, all they have to do is talk in a brief statement, the savagery that we've seen play out. They might want to say, wherever you come down on this whole question that's gone on for 50 years, that's one thing. But this has nothing to do with this. This is just terrorism. It's savagery. The spokesperson for Netanyahu, one of them, confirming the story we told you yesterday of babies being beheaded, women raped near the bodies of other women who were dead. Now, I don't need those stories, but some people do, I guess, to see what's going on here. If you murder someone, you murder them to me. That's enough right there. It's all-out war against savagery. And that's what Hamas represents. Now, how much of the Palestinian people do they represent? That's an open matter. I think they're relatively popular, as hard as that is to believe. So Dan has been engaged since we broke this story yesterday. You know about Swarthmore. You expected of them. You know about Harvard. First of all, with Harvard, here's the backlash. And this is an interesting question, Dan, and I'll ask you first. I have an answer to it. We don't want to engage in cancel culture. But this billionaire, his name is Ackerman, is asking, and I think it's just to do this, that these organizations, say at Harvard, 34 of them that signed off on the idea they support Hamas, let's just see a list of the names of people that are members. Well, now 5 to 8, it's a little bit unclear, have said, hey, take us off that list. Well, why did you put your name on it to begin with? Others are saying, I'm a member of that, but I wasn't asked. Well, then maybe you ought to quit. I mean, what's the mechanism? Now, all of a sudden, because these people are afraid that employers are looking at this. So, look, I'm not egging that on, that an employer not hire somebody who supports Hamas. Well, I would ask you, if you're an employer, is that really something that you want? Dan, is that cancel culture, or is it just asking an employer? Would an employer want a Nazi? Aren't these Nazis?
I mean, it's a great question. It's a great topic of discussion. I'm kind of falling on the side of the fence where, yeah, there should be a list, because especially if you have like a Jewish leadership in the company or anything like that.
Right.
Or say one of these Hamas supporting individuals gets into a leadership role and has Jewish people working under them.
Well, I'll tell you this. In the past, Dan, I've worked with producers, some of whom were not conservative. And I've told you, and I knew it had to be difficult for them. And talk radio, there's a lot of conservative talk, but
yeah,
they were vaguely, I wouldn't say liberal, but okay. It doesn't matter to me. But if you were a Hamas supporter, I can't work with you as a producer.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Something would have to happen here. Yeah. I mean, this is like being a Nazi. And people know I'm very, very, look, they don't have the power of the Nazis. That's why I don't use it. But it's the same sort of mentality. If they did have the power, they would have murdered millions of people over the last couple of days. The only thing that separates them is they don't have that power. But the mentality is the same. Kill Jews, rape Jews, kill babies, behead people, do whatever you can to strike at them. So if it's found out that this person is a Hamas supporter, unless they want to renounce that, everybody can make a mistake. Now, as far as LaSalle, we told you yesterday, if you missed it, that the Muslim Student Association, and Dan, they have on their website now, tomorrow is a day of resistance. They're telling people to come in the Palestinian garb tomorrow for the day of resistance on LaSalle's campus. And then they said, oh, also on Thursday, we'll be having Morocco night. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Hamas for everyone.
So Dan has
hummus,
been busily, suddenly these people at LaSalle, they don't want to talk about this. Now, here's the message to the LaSalle community, Dan, sent out on Monday, October 9th, I guess from the Presidente over at LaSalle, whichever Christian brother, whomever that is. You talk about here's what they said about Hamas. Over the weekend, the world witnessed the sudden violence taking place throughout Israel and Gaza. The reports, images, and videos we're seeing in the news and social media are disturbing and anguishing. I know that members of our campus community have been personally impacted and have lost loved ones in this conflict. Thankfully, I have received information our colleagues at Bethlehem University are safe. Then he says, while I acknowledge the complex and difficult history in this region, our LaSallian heritage and mission require us to condemn violence. Hey, do it then. Notice that? They require us to condemn violence. Well, who are you condemning? Oh, no, we're condemning violence, Dan. No, LaSalle. Who is it that was violent here? Who are you condemning? Why is this so difficult? Is it any wonder these kids are so misdirected over at LaSalle? Now, Dan, I didn't have time. We're going to the Phillies tonight. Thanks to Dr. Bentz. Luke going with me. It's going to be a great thing. Well, you're going down there to the ballpark.
Yeah, I'll be there in a little bit.
So it's a great time, great celebration. And this game, Dan, might be I'd rather see the Streeter game if he pitches to see him booed off the mound. But I think it's going to be wild tonight.
Yeah.
But I might have time tomorrow, Dan, and I'm thinking of going over to the campus with my little recorder. Yeah, I will do it. And asking LaSalle students all that I find on a day of resistance, what do they think of all this? Can you imagine? We acknowledge a complex history. We must condemn violence and hate. Well, who are you condemning here? Is it so hard? We're not asking you, LaSalle, to condemn all Palestinians. Can LaSalle condemn Hamas, yes or no? And the answer is no. That wouldn't be right. Then we'd have to condemn Israel. So you know what? If you really are that mealy-mouthed, don't put out a statement. Just let it go. Let your misdirected students be holding days of resistance. Let the powerlifting club, Dan, that's what I want to know. Get the names of the powerlifters club over at LaSalle that signed off on this. And why is it, Dan, do you think we're having such trouble? You're a very persuasive guy, making it comfortable and easy to get somebody on out of all these people from LaSalle.
Because they know right when they're questioned on their beliefs. It might be a good time to play that clip that you had me pull that was back in 2010 of Horowitz.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that direction. Now,
yeah, the second you question them on their beliefs, this is what happens.
Yeah, no, wait 1 second. David Horowitz, listeners know, Dan, describes himself as a diaper, a red diaper baby. The parents were communist, but he's become a great conservative commentary. This is from San Diego. He's with this woman who, I'm not sure if she's Palestinian by birth, but she adopts, you're right, Dan, everything. And he'll answer her questions. He does Newt Gingrich well here, but he just wants to know, will she condemn groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and all the rest of it. And he makes that point.
She's apparently part of the MSA as well at the
MSA,
university.
that's right. And you'll hear at the end. It's worth it at the end. Her response, does she agree? Dan, if you remember, you cut it, but the one guy that's cited here says he wishes all Jews would hurry to Israel. That way, when we hunt you down, it'll be a lot easier. And do you agree with that? The woman, he's asking. Imagine, this is what they're following. All Jews return to Israel. It'll make it easier for us to kill you in one spot. Hey, LaSalle, that's called Hamas. Try condemning it. Take another shot, President, at a letter to your students. Here's David Horowitz. It's about 15 years old, 12 years old, with this woman at San Diego.
Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas
Would I condemn Hamas?
as a terrorist and genocidal organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't. I actually have had this experience many times. You didn't read the pamphlet because the pamphlet is chapter and verse. The main connection is that the MSA is part of the Muslim Brotherhood Network as revealed in the documents.
I don't think you understood what I
Anyway,
meant by that.
this
I
is-
meant if I say something, I'm sure that I will be arrested for reasons of Homeland Security. So if you could please just answer my question.
If you condemn Hamas, Homeland Security will
If I
arrest you.
support Hamas, because your question forces me to condemn Hamas. If I support Hamas, I
Well,
look really
If you don't
bad.
condemn Hamas, obviously you support it. Case closed. I've had this experience, I had this experience at UC Santa Barbara where there were 50 members of the Muslim Students Association sitting right in the rows there. And throughout my hour talk, I kept asking them, will you condemn Hezbollah and Hamas? And none of them would. And then when the question period came, the president of the Muslim Students Association was the first person to ask questions. And I said, before you start, will you condemn Hezbollah? And he said, well, that question is too complicated for a yes-no answer. So I said, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a Jew. The head of Hezbollah has said that he hopes that we will gather in Israel so he doesn't have to hunt us down globally. For it or against it?
For it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and showing everybody what's here.
Wow. I didn't remember that, Dan. I saw it started to perk up yesterday that she said 4 at the end.
Yeah.
Hey, give her credit. Give her credit. Hey, LaSalle, do you condemn that? Images, disturbing videos, Dan. The word salad. Is Kamala Harris in charge of colleges now with their word salads they're throwing out? My goodness.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take your calls. Dave McCormick will be here. Alan Dershowitz at 1 o'clock. Side question today. This is Stop Bullying Day. Yes. So hit us with that all-time bully, real or fictional. Now, I'm going to take off the board Biff in Back to the Future. I just think he's...
That's a Mount Rushmore answer.
Yeah, and he's through all three. The Back to the Future 3 is unwatchable. All right, I'm also going to take off, though. Here's the psychological. Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What a great bully, how she gets the guy to... And when she's fighting with McMurphy, all that McMurphy can do is hold his own against her. Louise Fletcher is great bully in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So, Dan, how about yours?
I'll take off a political answer. I think if we go back to elementary, middle school, if we're talking about the presidential candidates, out of which ones might be a school time bully,
yes,
I think there's no doubt that Chris Christie was that guy.
Throwing his weight around, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. That's playing to the cheap seats with that one, Chris Christie.
And then I'm going to take one off the board fictionally as well. Yes. You a big fan of Billy Madison by any chance?
No, you're a bigger fan of Adam Sandler.
I love Adam
than I
Sandler,
am.
man.
Yeah. Now, in what is it where he plays the hockey player playing golf?
That's Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore, and I like the fight he has with Bob Barker.
I think Happy Gilmore's probably my favorite one,
Yeah.
but my second favorite Adam Sandler movie is Billy Madison. And in Billy Madison, every couple of grades, he runs into a ginger named O'Doyle, one of the brothers.
Yes.
And smacked in the face.
Doyle rule.
Throughout the movie, you hear that O'Doyle rules. They end up crashing off the side of a cliff near the end of the movie, but some great bullies, fictional bullies there.
Any of the Mean Girls, I'll take off the table too. Just that expression, Mean Girls.
That's a great one too.
All right, so hit us with that all-time bully, real or fictional, at the end of your call. And is it too much to ask that an institution like LaSalle, or you name it, just says we condemn Hamas, not the Palestinian people. We condemn the actions of Hamas. Now, that's too one-sided. Really? I got to get somebody on from LaSalle here, Dan, to tell me that Israel and Hamas are just two coins of opposite sides. Would you really like to defend that? Because if you can't condemn Hamas, that's what you're saying. And can you imagine tomorrow is a day of resistance on college campuses across the country? 855-839-1210. That's how you get in on Talk Radio 1210.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Hi, this is Howard Eskin. Look at you. Your life is under control. Errands done. Groceries, got them. Leaves raked. Be proud of yourself. It's time to give yourself a reward. You know you've been waiting all day for your favorite tasty cake treat. But which one? There are many great choices. Is it the delicious crimpet? Maybe a tasty baked pie. No matter what you choose or where you are, it's always time for a tasty cake. So choose what feels right and enjoy. You've earned it, and you know you deserve it. Tasty cake, except no substitutes.
If your child needs support, special tutoring, and custom instruction, METC is here to help. Now's the time to make the call to Kathy Ganna and METC. Call the Motivational Educational Tutoring Company. For over 30 years, METC's tutoring studio, founded by educator Kathy Ganna, has helped people of all ages to grow personally and academically. Call Kathy today at 215-493-4200. METC offers motivational SAT prep as well as academic skills and leadership training. Call 215-493-4200. Now's the time to get assistance for your child to help them succeed. Visit online at METC.com. Call METC's tutoring studio today at 215-493-4200 or email Kathy directly at info@METC.com. Remember, 1210 listeners receive a free 1-hour consultation. Take advantage of this opportunity to help your child get one-on-one help. Call 215-493-4200. That's 215-493-4200.
For the pulse of the city, even if it ain't pretty.
The Dom Giordano program.
On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Dom Giordano Show. Welcome in. So Dave McCormick is coming here. Good research, Dan, by the McCormick people running against Bob Casey Jr. Several Democrat senators are now calling, and time's a wasting, that we freeze the $6 billion we were going to send to Iran, or Iran was going to use for whatever. Well, you know, they'll never trust us again with hostages, right? How about if we tell them we'll level half your country if you don't send the hostage home? That might be a better thing. But the McCormick people note, Dan, Bob Casey Jr. is not one of the people calling to freeze this money. I think if we even went to Scranton and asked people, if I had the ability to do that, hey, Do you think we ought to stop that $6 billion going to the Iranians? You've heard about it for the hostages. Bob Casey doesn't think so. So Dave McCormick will be here at 12:30, and we'll definitely have a lot to talk about around that. Excited Phillies tonight, too.
Woo!
Yes, Dr. Bentz. And I expect this is going to be an all-time crowd tonight.
So are we having a show tomorrow?
Why is that?
Well, I don't think you're going to have a voice.
Oh, well, that's I tell people.
Your Dino
No, I tell people.
Sponsored by the
Dan,
Kennedy campaign
when-
with your voice tomorrow.
Yeah, when I sit down next to somebody, even at an event, whenever it's too loud, I tell them, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be talking.
So you don't talk
So
to
it's
them,
wrong.
do you like yell at the top of your lungs? Are you doing all the chants and all? Are you singing "Dancing on My Own" at the end of the game?
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
You are. Come on, like you can't tell me you're going to be the guy sitting there on your hands while everyone else is having a
Oh, my
joyous
God.
time.
I think it'd be better if they play "Sweet Caroline" at the end of the show than
Oh,
dancing
no.
on my. Oh, come on, it's awful. It's awful.
It's growing on me, man. Like watching the stadium rocking after the wild card win was amazing to see.
Hey, Dan, if oh, don't play it now. So, Dan, maybe I'll throw the ball to you on this one. I'm sure you'll catch it. Maybe you can explain who Maya Khalifa is.
Mia Khalifa.
Is it Mia?
Mia.
She goes by Mia.
Get it right,
Okay,
Tom.
okay.
Come on.
Mia
You
Khalifa,
should know
because
this.
Mia Khalifa, because of her stance on Hamas, has been bounced from her own Playboy channel and other porno. The porno industry has bounced her.
No more Mia Khalifa.
And yet, LaSalle can't find its voice with people dressing up in Palestinian garb and having a day of resistance tomorrow about Hamas.
Yeah.
How in the world do you get bounced for a political belief? And they said it's on moral grounds. Can you imagine from the porno industry?
Didn't she go way off the handle discussing it though? She called them freedom fighters.
Yeah, but still, Dan, it's a porn industry.
Mia Khalifa, though, the thing with Mia, though, is she's kind of different than a lot of different porn
She wears
stars.
glasses. I
So
guess,
for a
yes.
while, she was like the #1 porn star
Right.
on what's it called? Pornhub.
Right.
And because of that, she actually broke out of it, started podcasting. I think she got sponsorships with sports gambling websites and all. And she kind of broke out into the mainstream away from porn. And then I guess at some point, she must have signed a deal with Playboy.
Right.
And because I think because her name is so well known, not just by people that are involved
Right.
in porn, I think it's really broken out into a so yeah, they have to condemn it. They have to distance themselves from it because those are asinine statements. You can't be making those statements.
Well, my point still is, though, America's colleges don't seem to get that. And just the ruffle of this one billionaire saying, I want to know the names of these people at Harvard that signed off on it. So you and I are good on this, though. The line is this. I think a business should be able to know the names of people supporting Hamas, and then they can make a decision. I mean, there are some things you can still get fired for that are not cancel culture. It might be bad for business if you're a Hamas supporter. Is that canceling them? Are we reneging on our backstory? Now, to be fair, Dan, I don't know how the porn industry can cancel this woman.
I don't think she's
That's-
canceled from the porn industry. I mean, I could imagine there's very seedy individuals throughout. So I don't think it cancels her, chances of being naked
We
on
should-
camera.
You
going
know,
forward.
I don't know if we've ever done that. What is the seediest job category and industry out there?
I don't want to anger people.
It's got to be. That's got to be right up there.
Union boss.
I was going to say used car salesman is usually the one you get, but the porn industry might be the leader. All right, so hit us with your comment. Are you happy as I am, though? The one silver lining here. This is forcing people pretty much to show who they are. Social media is doing this. They go on social media. They make these comments. They're taken aside. And if this were the usual stuff with Israel and, I know, but Hezbollah has now officially entered the war with Israel, hang gliders into Israel and firing into Israel. So this is blowing up into a bigger war. And the question this morning is, should Israel bomb the Iranian nuclear sites? Okay. Which is more difficult than you think. They have pretty good intelligence, but it's not going to be easy to take that out. I'll ask Dave McCormick that. Bob Casey Jr., when he wakes up from his nap, ought to be asked about why wouldn't we freeze the $6 billion that we've given to the Iranians? We can still do it, apparently. Do it. All right, let's go to Jason in Philly on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Jason, afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Dom.
Yes, go ahead, Jason.
Good afternoon, Dom.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon. Yeah. So, we actually, my son, he's a ward leader. He's been talking to McCormick. We're trying to get my 15-year-old nephew out of Israel. He's in a bunker right now.
Okay.
He was there with school. He's in a bomb shelter.
Wow.
We're trying to get him out. It's so hard. I have family there. My cousin works for the airport. They're trying to get him out in an emergency flight, but it's really hard. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is where the Biden administration comes in. I think we ought to be attempting to rescue Americans that are in Israel.
Yeah, we should get rid of, we should go Chuck Norris, Delta Force, all that, go in there, bomb them all, get rid of them all. Seriously. Enough's enough. But, what are you going to do? You can't do nothing like that. And I worked for the Jewish Federation. I mean, between you and I and whoever's listening, they're phonies. But whatever. As far as the side question goes, before I start getting all emotional and angry, my fictional bully would be the Gooch from Different Strokes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Fisher Pine, Dan, that's where I got it from. Leslie has this Ashton Groot or Van Groot woman who's very persuasive. Her husband is in Israel on a job and can't get out. And the Biden administration said they have no plans to ride to the rescue with this. Now, they'd have to respect the airport or the landing and all that stuff. But I would think we'd want to get Americans out of this war zone, which is only going to increase. And Americans are confirmed to be among hostages in Gaza at this point. We know that. That David Horowitz cut that we played you, actually have to see this woman standing there. And then eventually I give her credit agreeing to what she thinks. Yeah, I'm with the guy who said, why don't you all go to Israel so that we can hunt you down more easily? So why is it some of the usual suspects, Berkeley, Swarthmore, what the hell if you're an alum of LaSalle? Or by the way, yesterday we were treated to seeing Penn State, Dan, and Dan's trying to reach Riley Gaines, try to shut Riley Gaines down, even though she was speaking outside on the campus grass because they claimed they couldn't give her a room to speak. They didn't get in their room reservation in time. Oh my God. It is just stunning to see this stuff play out. These colleges methodically, not just bluster, have to be dealt with. By the way, Dan, a guy who we've had on the show, Chris Dush, he's the state senator from that area. He's in a video that I saw at Penn State. That's his district. And he says they're not going to get the money. We're going to stop them unless they recognize freedom of speech. If Riley Gaines can't speak on a college campus, doesn't that say it all? I mean, you can differ with her, I guess. I don't know what the argument is to differ with her about women in sports, which is essentially what she talks about. But you can shut that down? All right, let's go to Tom in Marlton. Tom, Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Tom, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How's it going there?
Good, Tom.
I'm pretty good. Hey, my one thing is some people can support the Palestinian people and not support Hamas. And for example, back when it was called Mandatory Palestine up until the 1940s, and you had an insurgency there from certain groups where they bayoneted, Palestinian babies. So, but just supporting the Palestinian people doesn't mean you support Hamas. That's it.
Well, that's not what's going on here, though. Don't you have to condemn Hamas?
Yeah, you condemn Hamas.
Well,
other
that's
actions, of course, like we condemn the actions that were done by people in the 1940s in that area. That was Ben Gurion. He was in charge
well. I have
before he
to.
became prime minister.
Okay, here's the point, though. These colleges are not condemning Hamas.
Okay, it means nothing to me who condemns and who does not condemn. I'm not here to be judgmental of everybody else.
Well, I am, and I'm proud of it. I'm glad he brought that word up. There's nothing wrong with that word. If you're not judgmental, you're not alive, and I'm certainly alive. My God. You know what, Dan? That was my fault. Tom was calm enough and all. I tap danced there. I was dancing. I took too many. I should have cut to the chase. I knew where we were going. Ben Gurion, 1940, and bayonets. He didn't condemn that, Tom. All right, Dave McCormick is next here. For years, I've talked about the health benefits of Rescue Natural Supplements after making their omega-3s part of my daily routine. From supporting heart health to providing pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Jeff. He says the benefits of Rescue Omegas are worth it. Helps reduce my inflammation, lower my cholesterol. Been taking it for years. See, people like Jeff have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get this special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Use the code online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember, it's code OMEGA50, OMEGA50. Buy one, get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
Mostly sunny skies and comfortable throughout the rest of the afternoon as the Phillies continue their series at the bank. Weather looks fantastic for that game. We'll top out at 70 degrees here. No issues or problems in terms of rainfall in the forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy skies in the upper 40s, a chilly night. And then for Thursday, nice and mild, 72 and mostly sunny. We head into Friday with increasing clouds throughout the day, a high in the upper 60s. That leads us into a potential nor'easter for the weekend. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Justin Godnick.
Weather sponsored by Piazza Premium Automobiles. Discover the luxury of the Mercedes-Benz lineup, including the midsize GLC SUV and the fully electric EQ models. Test drive today in Mercedes-Benz of Westchester, Wilmington, and now Atlantic City.
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me. 40 days up to 40 pounds. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40 pounds.
Excuse me, sir. You dropped your wallet.
Sorry, what?
I said you dropped your wallet.
Come again?
I said you dropped your wallet.
What?
Loss of hearing can really cost you, unless you have hearing aids.
You dropped your wallet. Oh, thank you.
Bluebell Hearing Aid Center, where better hearing and better living begins. Providing hearing solutions that are more powerful, precise, and user-friendly than ever before. At BluebellHearingAidCenter.com. BluebellHearingAidCenter.com.
They pretty much aren't doing anything. I couldn't ride a bicycle. You don't have your life because you don't have your mobility.
So when Patrick heard about QC Kinetics and their non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain, no waiting, he called them immediately.
There's no downtime. There's no rehab. That was the tipping point for me. I didn't have to take any drugs. I didn't have to rehab.
Before considering surgery, check out QC Kinetics all-natural treatment options that restore and repair damaged joint tissue in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back.
If you have knee replacement surgery, and then the knee is not yours, and there's no guarantee that that's going to be successful.
QC Kinetics. Patients around the country are raving about the results. They're getting back their mobility, taking back their lives with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Don't miss Dr. Marianne Ritchie, your radio doctor, at a special time this Saturday morning at 10. Get accurate information so you can make the right medical decisions. Your radio doctor this Saturday morning at 10 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter.
Tom Giordano's show. Welcome in. You know, one of the things I hope this race for the Senate is about in Pennsylvania, which could decide who controls the Senate in 2024 is foreign policy, are things like we're seeing with Iran, particularly Israel. I told you a moment ago that many Democrat senators are even saying we should freeze or take back, whichever you wish, this money promised to Iran. Bob Casey Jr. is not one of them. Let's go to someone who I think would vote to do that, Dave McCormick, who's running against him on the Republican side. Hey, Dave, welcome back to Philadelphia.
Hey, Dom, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, it seems as, in fairness, this is not Casey's area of expertise. He seems to be more domestic, but you're going to be the senator from a place like Pennsylvania. It's that, but it's these big foreign policy things too, and that's kind of in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I mean, what's going on right now is absolutely heartbreaking for Israel and the Jewish community, and this horrific act by Hamas against one of America's great allies. So it's a moment where the United States has to stand strong with its ally Israel. I'm just saw recent breaking news. It looks like Hezbollah is also sending some terrorists into Israel on gliders. So this is a very, very volatile moment. And what we know that Iran is the sponsor of Hamas and Hezbollah. It's the money that has underwritten all their terrorist acts. And we also know that the Biden administration and previous to this, the Obama administration had tried to do a deal with Iran where they had made funds available. Most recently, this $6 billion, which Iran was going to have access to. And what I've asked Senator Casey to do is to stand strong for making sure that money's frozen and it doesn't go to Iran, even though that money wasn't supposed to go to Iran for terrorist activity, obviously. If you give them the money, it allows them to dedicate resources to terrorist groups like Hamas. So this is a moment where we need to stand with moral clarity and understanding, and that's what I'd do if I was a senator from Pennsylvania.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. I'll give you the other side. I guess they're going to say, though, wait a minute, though, how are we going to get hostages out in the future if we renege on this deal?
Well, listen, this is the kind of thing where you see what happens when you're not strong and you don't demonstrate strength. And the Biden administration, in my opinion, has been weak in Afghanistan, and that display of weakness and incompetence is part of what's provoked Putin to invade Ukraine and the ham-handed response there. And this is just another example. And this effort to try to do business with Iran, when Iran's explicit goal is to eradicate both the United States and Israel from the face of the earth, you just can't do business with these people. And as a consequence of that, we've essentially traded $6 billion for hostages, but unfortunately, that's now led to hundreds of hostages, or at least 800 hostages, some of them Americans, in Gaza right now. But more than that, 1,000 or so Jewish soldiers and men and women and children. So what we've done is we've appeased what's a terrorist country that has been very explicit about its goals. And so I think freezing the $6 billion just makes sure that those resources aren't going to be devoted to more terrorist action. And when people say the money was dedicated to humanitarian needs, well, it's just like if you have $100 in your pocket and someone tells you they're going to give you another $100, that allows you to spend more freely the resources you have. And that's what would happen in Iran's case. And that's why there's a growing consensus. And I made this argument a couple of days ago, but there's a growing consensus that the U.S. should freeze these dollars. And this isn't a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. This is an American issue.
Now, Dave, you've been on this too, and I hope more Republicans or candidates drill down on this. It is a really good, sometimes the political good and the moral good are synonymous. I saw you tweet out, or, you put out some statements about Swarthmore. It's to be expected what they would do. My alma mater, LaSalle, doesn't strike people as doing this, but they put up the same thing that Harvard did, the Muslim Student Association, and maybe 8 to 10 student organizations over at LaSalle have signed off on this, Dave, just like at Harvard.
Yeah, it's these moments where leaders have to provide moral clarity, and there's right and there's wrong, and no one can see the barbaric actions that took place, the killing of children, the kidnapping of young women, and taking them back to Gaza. No one can look at that and ever think there's a moral justification for it. And so whatever one thinks of the origins of the conflict in the Middle East and so forth, the clarity to say what we just saw was barbaric, it's unconscionable, and it can't be defended is what I would expect our leaders to do. And to his credit, President Biden did that yesterday. And we have these universities where the university presidents aren't stepping up and to say, no, that statement is wrong, and that we need to stand strong for goodness, for against evil, and no one can dispute that this was pure evil. And so, unfortunately, I think it's an indication of how our universities have really swung in a way that's very much in line with the progressive left vision of America, apologetic for America, and not recognizing the clarity of right and wrong and good and evil.
Now, the Philadelphia Inquirer and others, Dave McCormick, seem to think there's something askew here with you linking Biden and Casey and running against Bidenomics. Casey votes for it 100% of the time. And here's Dave, and maybe your people run this down, and I will send you a link. You might not have seen it. I know you've been a lot of travel campaign. I'm going to talk about it a lot today. Levittown, Pennsylvania, Levittown, which was the road to the middle class way back when, is going for $700,000, says the Bucks County Courier-Times. But they say in Lower Bucks County, Levitt-built homes are now selling around $450,000 to $500,000. Who's responsible that for a Levittown you got to pay $500,000, Dave? It's Bidenomics. It's a 8.06 interest rate now with the Fed, and things of that nature.
Yeah, listen, this is when you're a public official, pardon me, you're elected, the voters are going to judge you on a couple things, I think. One is, what have you done? What consequential action have you taken to make their lives better, to make America's lives better? And then second, are you an independent voice that's going to fight for Pennsylvania? And in the case of Senator Casey, I think it's very fair to point out that in his 17 years as the senator from perhaps the most consequential state in the country, he has been inconsequential. He hasn't introduced any major legislation that's made a meaningful impact on the lives of Pennsylvanians. But second, he has voted 98% of the time with President Biden's failed policies. So he's been a rubber stamp for President Biden. And this is on issues relating to the border, on issues relating to the economy, the inflation that we see, 20% increase in prices under President Biden, are the direct result of that legislation, which Bob Casey voted for. So I think it's very fair as he and I run our respective campaigns for me to point out that the failed policies of Joe Biden are also the failed policies of Bob Casey. And most Pennsylvanians are not buying it. Joe Biden's very unpopular in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Bob Casey, frankly, is very unknown in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania because he hasn't done that much.
And I think I notice every time we speak or I see you're making the point, I would even amplify it. People know that's been the thing about Casey. Nice enough guy when I've been around him several times, but you talk about inconsequential versus what you would bring to it on day one, given the vast connections, given your background, international stuff, etc. It's quite a difference, and it elevates Pennsylvania versus worrying about New York and California all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, the country's in crisis across any dimension, whether it's economic, military, spiritual. We're in decline, and it's a time for leaders to step up. So, what I say on the campaign trail is I don't need this job. I want this job. I'd be honored to have this job because it's an opportunity to make a real difference for the people of the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and America. And that's what the job is all about. It's about going to Washington to shake things up, not to be a rubber stamp, not to be a senator, but it's to be a public official who can make a difference for the people he or she represents. And that's what my goal would be if I had the honor of being elected.
Absolutely. Where do we find all things Dave McCormick?
DaveMcCormickPA.com. And I'd be grateful for your listeners to go to that site and learn more about me, and hope have the opportunity to earn their vote.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks very much.
Dom, thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Dave McCormick, and he's smart, subtly, at least, in the contrast between a McCormick and his background and his persona versus Bob Casey Jr. It's just amazing. And it just degrades Pennsylvania. So we got Bob Casey Jr. taking a nap and John Fetterman, who should take a nap. I mean, it's just, these are, all right, Dan, which one's worse? I think I know the answer. Menendez Booker from Jersey or Casey and Fetterman? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, with everything going on with Menendez, I think it might have taken the cake right now. Like with Fetterman, you have a guy that never mind.
Yeah.
But Menendez has all that going on. I mean, Booker's just an idiot. Spartacus over there.
Yeah. All right, you go with Jersey. That still might be the lead.
Yeah.
Trying to remember. Oh, the two senators from Delaware are Carper. And you talk about backbenchers. I don't even know the other senator at this point. It's
oh, you know who it is.
They switch.
Like you could drive a truck down his forehead and it would take about 14 hours.
How?
Oh, come on, man.
No.
The world's the largest forehead in all of Senate.
Well, Carper's got a pretty. I've seen it up close just last week.
But the other one, I mean, come on, think of Trump and everything that went on with the Russia gate.
I admit it. I'm not. Chris Coons.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, Chris Coons is not a backbencher. I'll say that for him. You don't like the foreheads, huh?
Are you kidding me? What do you mean you don't like the forehead? The guy's got a forehead and a half. Go look at pictures of the guy. It's
how could I forget Chris Coons? Yeah.
It looks like an easy pass lane.
He's not a backbencher, but Carper, oh my God, it's Delaware. Gave us Joe Biden. They're responsible. All right, 855-839-1210. Who's responsible for Levittown? And Dan, with all of his house buying experience recently, we'll get into that in the next hour. Imagine a Levitt house. They built Levittown. Bill O'Reilly lived in a Levittown in New York. He talks about it. $450,000 to $500,000 for a Levitt house. This one's $700,000.
We found one. We're looking at a Levittown house. It was
okay.
340.
Right.
And it needed to be completely gutted.
My God.
Yeah.
How could that be?
I don't know. It's crazy.
I'm just amazed.
3-bed,
by the
2-bath.
figures. See, in my mind, I said that to Rowan. She says, that's it. You always, you're not going to pay. I think of $450,000 in Levittown. I'm thinking of a mansion. I'm thinking there's a whole staff that goes with that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky to get 2,000 square feet with $450,000. Yeah.
All right. 855-839-1210. That's how you get on board. Hey, join me this Saturday, October 14th at the Faith and Liberty Discovery Center, 5th and Market Streets in Old City, just across from the Liberty Bell. It's the first official Faith and Liberty Day. The museum is celebrating William Penn's birthday. In addition to me, you can meet Billy Penn, see the unveiling of the museum's American Values art exhibit, and get this, enjoy free ice cream sundaes. Here's the best part. There's free admission all day at the museum. So come on out, the Faith and Liberty Discovery Center on Saturday, October 14th at 5th and Market Streets, right there in Old City. I'll be there around 11 till shortly after 12. Come on out, say hello, get some free ice cream sundaes. And this is a really undiscovered treasure. Bring the kids this Saturday at 5th and Market Streets.
Fall is the best time to be at the Jersey Shore. Leaves are changing, crowds are gone, the weather is still warm, and Rich Zeoli is heading back to the Grand Hotel in Cape May. Be there Friday, October 13th, 3 till 7.
It's Friday the 13th. What could possibly go wrong? Don't miss it. It's my happy place, and I'll be happier if you're there. So join the Zeoli Show live at the Grand Friday, October 13th. See you there.
Whether you're on your way to Cape May or already there, come by for all the fun. The Grand Hotel is at 1045 Beach Ave. This Friday, 3 till 7 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the Odyssey app.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly rated hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Hi, this is Norman the Floorman. My wife accused me of being immature. I told her, get out of my fort. Calling all developers, investors, house flippers, and savvy shoppers. I'm selling plush carpet at 99 cents per square foot. I haven't sold carpet that cheap since 1969. Visit us online at normancarpet.net or visit our Bryn Mawr or Conshohocken showroom. Call for a free home estimate and, oh yes, 48-hour installation available. That's 800-220-RUGS.
When big corporate banks make a decision, it can take multiple calls and a lot of patience to get an answer. When we make a banking decision, it's over a cup of coffee in our office. Discover the value of personal bankers and real relationships with First Bank. First Bank is excited to join forces with Malvern Bank in understanding your financial goals for success. Experience the difference of real relationships. Connect with our team today at firstbankpa.com or stop in and say hi at any of our 26 First Bank branches. First Bank is an equal opportunity lender and member FDIC.
When you volunteer with your local AARP, it's easy to make a difference in your community. Volunteering with AARP could be as simple as taking a walk with a hiking group or being a supportive voice for family caregivers. You can volunteer on your schedule, whether just down the block or virtually from your computer, all while making new friends. With AARP, you don't have to go far to have a wide-reaching impact. Get started today at aarp.org/volunteer here.
See Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra at the Miller Center in Reading on Wednesday, October 18th, and at Springfield High School in Delaware County, Saturday, November 11th.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
I loved it.
All his voices are fabulous, and the fact that he sings.
I couldn't imagine how good it would be with the orchestra. Awesome show.
I've never laughed so much. My cheeks hurt. I'm like, yeah.
That's Conklin and City Rhythm at the Miller Center in Reading and at Springfield High School in Delco. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
JoeConklin.com! From Broomall to Brookhaven, follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app.
Download it now.
Tom Giordano Show. Welcome in. By the way, we're watching, and we'll give you any developments on the speaker contest. Today's the first day of duking it out. You know, I'm not in the camp that says this is chaos, but I'll be surprised if, say, it's going to take at least into next week. And I'm not sure what it is that will determine things. Jim Jordan is certainly the lead in the clubhouse, but Steve Scalise is not giving up. And then there might be a couple of other people throwing their hat into the ring. And, you know, the pressure. We need a speaker. Republicans screwing up aid to Israel, which isn't true. After the dust settles, if it is Jim Jordan, well, then this will have worked out. Doesn't mean, you know, I won't go back again. The tactics of Matt Gaetz. Now we have the Ken Buck guy who was part of the Gang of Eight, Dan. And Ken Buck, who wants to be a host on CNN, the congressman, saying it's going to be chaos, I tell you. This guy, it's going to be back and forth a little bit here, but I don't see chaos. Let's go to Tom in Cinnaminson. Tom is on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Tom, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Dom. I've enjoyed you since the days at DB. Keep up the good work.
Well, hey, by the way, we have a former program director who's in Israel, living in Israel now, who put me on an afternoon drive there, Dan. Heck of a story.
So the guy coming up at 2, is he the one that, like, found you?
No, that was a female.
Okay.
There's several people that say, I saw that guy first. They all, like 20 years later. So thank you, Tom, for that.
Yeah, you were talking of Dave McCormick, something that he probably already knows. This is vetted through the congressional record. Mr. Casey, 16 years in office, 190 bills, none of which ever passed.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. Bob Casey's coming to the plate. 0 for 190. This isn't even the Mendoza line. It's the Casey line, Dan.
That is correct. And that's vetted with the congressional record.
Oh, Tom, thank you for that nugget of the day. I appreciate it. Who's your bully, Tom?
Bluto.
Bluto from Popeye,
oh,
right?
Oh, Bluto. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yes, gotcha. All right, we'll put you down. Dan, he can't be 0 for 190. First of all, he's only proposed 190 bills. You and I, Dan, as chief of staff, you'd be chief of staff. We could propose that by lunchtime.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that you would want
Oh, yeah, I'd have them stacked up on the desk. By the way, speaking of that, Sherelle Parker will be in studio tomorrow here, right?
Yeah.
At 12:30, and I think for the whole half hour.
Let me get confirmation on that.
Yeah, I think that's my
Is that-
sense
is that
of this.
the- is
I
that the
certainly
day?
have enough areas to talk with her about. You hear candidate for Mayor Sherelle Parker, rare interview.
It's Friday, Dom.
Oh, it's Friday.
Yeah, Friday
Okay.
at 12:30.
That gives me 2 days to take to the mattresses
There you
then.
go.
I mean, how was I going to do that tonight? I got a column I have to write. There's the Phillies thing.
Like, honestly, what I was doing there is I had to look at a calendar because I've lost track of the day. I
Yeah,
thought today
exactly.
was Thursday for a
Yeah.
second there.
I got Phillies, a column to write, get ready for Sherelle Parker.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. All right, one of my all-time favorites, Alan Dershowitz is next. Of course, his connection to Harvard. Want to see what he says about how do you deal with situations like this, these organizations not condemning Hamas, condemning Israel. And we don't want to be cancel culture, but what's happened today is this one woman who heads up the NYU law students has lost a job in the future to say, no, we're not going to bring in someone who hates Jews publicly and is cheering Hamas. Isn't this the equivalent of cheering Nazis? You can do it, but that doesn't mean I have to hire you, right? As long as the government doesn't do this, if a business says, I'm not hiring a public Nazi, is that cancel culture? 855-839-1210. Alan Dershowitz next. You know, there are still some period of time here to protect and beautify your home in time before the winter really sets in. Think about getting that done with Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield looks like paint. It goes on like paint, but Rhino Shield never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. It can be applied to almost any surface. It's truly waterproof, weather-resistant, and durable. It even helps insulate your home. Remarkable product I've been telling you about, and it comes with a big 25-year guarantee. But you do something like this, you want credibility, you want reliability. That's the local Rhino Shield owner, John Gilgee. He delivers every time with my listeners. John has worked directly with tons of Dom listeners over the last 3-4 years to upgrade their homes. He can do that with you, and he can get it done before the winter. So now's the time to call the biggest sale of the year and avoid potential pricing increases next year, supply chains. You know how that goes. Get it done now. Call him, get your project moving before the winter sets in. Call him at 844-RHINO-99, 844-RHINO-99. All the details, myrhinoshield.com. Get it done before winter.
Life can get hectic. It's time to retreat from the noise. Take a breath. Visit Malvern Retreat House, the nation's oldest and largest Catholic retreat house, located on a stunning campus